Chapter 4 of The Time Trap by Henry Kuttner. For 7 hours, Mason sleeps dreamlessly on a mound of furs in one of the bare apartments of Albuquerque. Once he rouses at an unfamiliar sound to go to the door and open it. Outside the portal, one of the metal robots stands motionless on guard. Smiling wryly, Mason returns to his couch and relaxes in sleep. The next time he awakes, it is to find a hard, calloused palm clamped over his mouth. Startled, he fights desperately for a moment and then pauses as he hears the urgent whisper of Eric. "Quiet, Mazon, be quiet." The Sumerian's swarthy face is glistening with sweat. He takes his hand from Mason's mouth and says, "We must be quick. There's a journey you must make before the master sends for you." "The robot." Mason nods towards the door. Eric's thin lips broaden in a grin. "I've taken care of him with this, see?" He brings out from the folds of his cloak a curious egg-shaped contrivance, milky, luminescent. "I got it from Murdoch." Murdoch, Mason remembers, the man from the future whom Gredar Klon had imprisoned in the vaults of Albuquerque. How? "Murdoch is wise and powerful, though he's in chains. I visited him after the master had punished me for hiding you." The Sumerian rubs his back gingerly, wincing. "I do not love the lash's kiss, no. Well, I told Murdoch of you, and he has made a plan. He gave me this weapon against the metal men and asked me to bring you to him. And Elisa, too, for the master intends to slay her." "What are we waiting for?" Mason asks. He springs slightly to his feet, moves towards the door. His hands stray towards the dagger at his belt, but Erich merely chuckles. "No danger. As long as we move quietly. Murdoch's weapon is powerful." The Sumerian opens the door. The robot stands silent across the threshold, its faceted eye blank and dull. It makes no move as the two men pass it. Eric says, "It's under a spell." Mason lifts quizzical eyebrows. True, to the superstitious Sumerian, this must seem magic indeed, but the cause of the robot's paralysis can be guessed. The egg-like weapon of Murdoch, perhaps, emitted a ray which temporarily short-circuits the energy that activates the robot. How long, Mason wonders, will the metal man remain thus? "Come on," Eric says, leading the way along the corridor. Silently, the archaeologist follows. Through the green-lit, empty tunnels they go swiftly, and at last come out into the great room of the dais, where Gredar Klon has tortured and killed the Semite girl before the assembled multitudes of Albuquerque. The chamber is vacant now, save for the glass coffin that hangs in the empty air. Eric runs lightly towards it, Mason at his heels. From a tunnel mouth a robot comes striding. The Sumerian flings up his arm, the luminous, enigmatic egg weapon of Murdoch's gripped in his thick fingers. From the shining object a pencil-thin beam of light springs out. It strikes the robot's body. It spreads, crawling over the metal surface like liquid. Suddenly the robot is a glowing figure of living light. The monster stops in mid-stride, tentacles rigidly outstretched. It stands frozen. The light beam dies. Eric hides the weapon in his garment. "Now for Elisa," he growls. "Murdoch told me how to free her, if I can remember." The Sumerian touches the opaque coffin, runs his hand lightly over its surface. He curses softly and then catches his breath. Beneath his fingers something clicks. There is a high-pitched, strange sound as though a violin string had abruptly broken. The coffin sinks down, opening as it drops. Within it lay Elisa, unmoving, asleep. Mason leans forward, his eyes intent on the girl. Elisa's beauty seems scarcely earthly as she lays there, and for a moment Mason fears that she will not awaken. Then the long, dark lashes lift. Warmly golden eyes look into the man's. In a gaze a queer understanding comes, and Elisa smiles, no longer goddess, but human indeed. Fear comes into her face. She arises with a lithe motion and looks around with the wariness of a hunted thing. In Semite, Mason says, "Do not be afraid. We come to free you, not to harm." Elisa eyes him doubtfully. The Sumerian says, "This is true. You know me, I think, and you know how I fought when the master first came." For the first time Elisa speaks, her voice low, a little husky, as though her vocal cords had not been used for long. "Yes, I know you, Eric. I trust you. But tell me, how long have I been in this prison?" "Thrice 4 moons, Eric says. "But come, we'll talk as we go. There's no time to waste." He turns to the coffin, closes it, lifts it into the air where it hangs unsuspended. The master may not discover you're gone for a while, anyhow. The Sumerian leads the way. He seems thoroughly familiar with the intricate maze of Albuquerque, though more than once Aleza's eyes widen in wonder at sight of her transformed city. Glancing aside at her, Mason feels his pulse leap at the girl's strangely elfin beauty. Once she looks at him with undisguised curiosity. "You are from a distant land, I think," she observed. "Men of Albuquerque are either strong or handsome, but seldom both." "You are not very handsome," she chuckles, golden eyes lighting with mirth. "Yet I like you." Before Mason can answer, a shadow flits past in the distance. It is the white leopard of Nervor. It pauses, eyeing the group inscrutably. Mason feels a shiver crawl down his spine. The creature is only a beast, of course, yet it stares a deadly malignancy and a queer spark of intelligence. The leopard slips away and is gone. Eric whispers, "It is a demon, Boykia. The black one is a killer, but white Velesta is like Malak Tayas, peacock devil of the eastern tribes. Hurry." The way leads downward now along steeply sloping ramps, deserted, lit by the pale green radiance. Once they encounter a robot, but Eric's ray weapon swiftly reduces it to immobility. Down they go into the hidden depths beneath lost Albuquerque. And fear creeps at Mason's heels, stalking him. A dread he cannot suppress has risen within him ever since the white leopard has appeared, an inexplicable certainty that danger is drawing closer. Without warning, disaster strikes. From the gloom of a side passage, a black bolt of lightning springs. The black leopard, right at Eric's head, it leaps, and the Sumerian would have died beneath the grinding fangs had not Mason, almost without thought, lunged forward into the man's back, hurling him aside. A razor claw rakes Mason's arm. He feels fur brush his cheek. So close does death pass. Then the leopard seems to turn in midair, green eyes blazing. But Eric has drawn his scimitar. With fury no less than the beast, he crouches, teeth bared in a savage grin. "Back, Mason! Guard Aleza! Your dagger is shorter than my blade. Let me deal with this hell spawn." Mason thrusts the girl behind him. He draws his dagger. The leopard advances on Eric, tail switching erratically, and darkness falls. The green glowing bars blink out. Intense blackness shrouds the passage. The nearness of doom sends inspiration lancing into Mason's mind. He cries, "The weapon, Eric! Murdoch's weapon!" Whether the ray would paralyze the leopard, Mason does not know. But at least the glowing egg will provide light. Light enough so that the leopard cannot kill unseen in the blackness. Whether Eric hears Mason does not know. The floor trembles beneath his feet. It shudders and sinks down as he fights for his footing. He feels Lace's soft body cannon into his, and then the two of them are plummeting down into the abyss. They do not fall far, and a mound of furs saves them from injury. In the Stygian gloom, Mason hears the girl's unsteady breathing. He puts out an exploring hand, touches the warm softness of an arm. "Are you all right?" Mason asks. "I think so, but Eric..." Mason calls the Sumerian's name. There is no response. Light blazes into the room. They are in a tiny cell, 12 feet square or less, walled and roofed with bare metal. Mason stands up, gripping his dagger. A voice says mockingly, "Though Boykia fail, I do not. I am wiser than my leopard." The voice of Nervor, the silver priestess. Mason looks around quickly. The unseen woman laughs softly. "You cannot escape, either of you. You will die. Nor will the master know I slew you. For when the centaur feeds, he leaves not even bones." Even at that moment, Mason found time to wonder why Nervor bore him such hatred. Then he remembered his words and his shocked revulsion at the alien horror he had sensed in the eyes of the silver priestess. Nervor remembered, and to her the offense was beyond forgiveness. "I followed you," the cool voice went on, "till you reached the trap above the centaur's den. If the master is too confident to guard himself against treachery, I shall guard him. For Greater Clan has promised to bring back the glories of Kurinor under Selene, and you, who are his enemies, shall die now." The floor tilts sharply. Once more Mason and Aleza drop through space, alighting sprawled on a carpet of crackling straw. They are in a dim-lit chamber, high-roofed and huge. It seems empty, though a black huddle looms in a far corner. Nervor's voice comes again.
Soon the centaur will awaken. When you see him, pay homage to the master's skill. For the centaur was once a man of Elbekar, a fool and a murderer who was bestialized in body and brain by Greta Klon's science.
He is not fed often, nor are maidens often thrown into his den, and he is still partly human. Ironic laughter fades away into the silence. Mason glances at Eliza's white face. Buck up, he says, lapsing into English, and then in Semite. Have courage, we're not dead yet. The girl's lips are pale.
Yet I fear. This is magic.
I'm quite a sorcerer myself, Mason jests with an assurance he does not feel.